Welcome to today's session. I hope you're all safe and well. Today, we're here to talk about the aggregation of video services. This is an increasingly important topic for many stakeholders in the world of video, and it's not just about the issues between SVOD and aggregators. As content owners work to best monetize their content, channels look to their future as a digital service, and pay TV works to offer the best proposition in the market. The issue of aggregation, and with that distribution, remains fundamental. The financial community and investors, who have such an influence on the strategic approach of media companies today, are focusing more on distribution relationships, with the realization that they deliver significant numbers for many, and in some markets are critical to succeed. Today, we consider who is best placed to take the role of a super aggregator. In a very fast-paced run through, we'll consider the overriding issue that there is a clear consumer need for aggregation of services now, in the same way as pay TV aggregated the channels as they grew. We also suppose whether it is in fact pay TV who are best placed to take this role and who need to respond, as some are, in order to take advantage of where they are today. Has the market gone full circle? Is there a need for a great reaggregation of content, but in the form of services? The implications of this are increasingly important for stakeholders across the industry, and not just SVOD and pay TV. Very briefly, my name is Jack Davison. I am EVP at 3Vision. 3Vision is a content consultancy firm that supports businesses across the sector with all types of content challenge. We offer strategic support and research to numerous businesses, and this comes from our very practical experience that comes from continuous activity in the market. Our independent consulting teams are supporting services throughout EMEA, developing propositions, securing content deals, and helping them move forward with their businesses. And our own business development support teams help ensure technology providers are engaging on the best terms with the content industry. Enough on us though. Today's technologies mean that almost anybody can become an aggregator. Many technology vendors are coming up with and pushing current solutions that allow for this, whether it's transitioning current platforms or launching new ones. As TV viewing behaviour continues to change at pace and a new generation of services emerge, everyone along the value chain faces important choices about finding and keeping audiences and remaining relevant. With this challenged user experience, aggregators are battling to help the consumer navigate through the vast amount of content online by aggregating content and channels in one interface. Some of these are disruptors, others are more traditional, but I think we're all agreed there's a clear need towards aggregation that offers universal content access with strong and effective search and recommendation functionality and a single point of billing. And beyond that, also bundling to provide economies for the consumer. Maintaining the narrative around returning to a world where content is aggregated in one place, it's good to remind ourselves and talk about the fact that we're talking about a very basic need here. Cable TV itself was born of a necessity in the US very shortly after the mass market for television broadcasting began to grow. The first commercial cable TV systems launched in the late 40s and 1948, just to retransmit channels that otherwise rural homes couldn't receive. Early systems carried only 3 channels, but by the end of the 50s, they had 12. And by the time we got to the 70s, there were entrepreneurs who saw an opportunity to aggregate cable-only channels by acquiring rights for movie studios and sports franchises, providing an opportunity for the cable companies to add these to their offering and charge consumers a premium above their basic monthly charge. The first aggregators. The first of these was HBO, launched in 1972. And the 80s saw huge explosion in the number of channels, the multi-channel world was born, and with this explosion, the options for how you could view them multiplied, and the need for aggregation grew in importance. TV operators began to offer more of a service, helping consumers get to these channels. And since the early 90s, we've seen operators change back and forth between how best to bundle and price their services. But ultimately, it was under their control. The pay TV walled garden, as it became to be known, was firmly in place, and competition was in relatively straightforward terms. The EPG, the Electronic Program Guide, was born in 1990 helping to make sense of this world as it grew. There are blunt and very obvious parallels to some of the issues we face today, as a channel's EPG position became highly valued and in some countries, in fact, became traded for a significant amount of money. There were other developments impacting the viewing experience and adding choice at this stage. The VCR, the video remote controller, blockbuster stores, home video stores, the DVD, TiVo, operator, DVRs or personal video recorders. But it was the internet that truly led the transformative activity of the 90s. Throughout the 90s, internet businesses entered the market across many sectors, and I'm not just talking about TV here, whether it was Amazon in 95, Google in 96, Napster in 99, that's booksellers initially, music producers, retailers. They wouldn't feel much yet, but the signs were there. Netflix launched postal DVDs in 99, but it wasn't until the noughties that real streaming initiative started. And today, the web provides very direct and very immediate access to consumers with low billing delivery costs and limited barriers to entry and exit that's basically encouraged services to launch. TV stakeholders were in some, but not all cases, but so in some cases were slow to jump in, happy with the revenue coming in from their traditional businesses. But eventually, everyone has a play. The broadcasters, the pay TV operators, and increasingly, more recently, the content owners, with their D2C rollouts fueling this discussion even further. In the same way as businesses waited for the tipping point to increase digital focus, the issue of aggregation has now reached a tipping point for pay TV. Which brings us on to the issue of aggregators themselves. Any discussion about aggregators is challenged by the fact that there are lots and lots of candidates for discussion. Not exhaustively listed here, but there are many coming at it from a very different direction. There are more CE manufacturers that are listed here. There are, I know Google's latest streaming sticks got new technology. There's lots of different kind of CE devices there. But free TV broadcasters are enhancing their players also with additional channels. Other services are launching. So someone like Globoplay in Brazil, that's grown from an SVOD service to add live linear channels and now partnering with Disney+. Disney are bundling their own services with Hulu, Disney and ESPN bundled together in the US. Other SVODs are also bundling content, bundling in some cases third-party services, with Viaplay in the Nordics just announcing their bundling Stars Play within their service. For some, their core business dwarfs any current aggregation activity, and therefore the rules of engagement can be broken when they have very different rationale or return on investment criteria, the likes of Apple and Amazon in particular. Some may exist in a secondary role and not emerge as what I would call a super aggregator, but they will still play an important role for some segments, whether that be on a particular device or in a particular use case. There will be new challenges and issues evolving over time as aggregators and services fight for leverage, whether that be over data sharing, disintermediation, the surfacing of services, the UI placement, the positioning, paid promotion and search, or even as it seems with the case of Peacock in the US, the sharing of additional revenues like advertising. Apple, Amazon, Roku are all playing a role, whilst OTT delivers direct-to-consumer players the best outcome. They all recognise the value and worth of these different platforms. When I say best outcome, I mean best margin, really. And commercial approaches have been changing, whether you're talking about the app stores here, iOS and Android, Amazon, Samsung, they all have different approaches and different margins. Commitment, however, does not appear to be wavering with any of them, with more initiatives, especially maybe with AVOD, across the whole sector. Microsoft will release its Xbox Series X and Series S consoles on November, actually they launched on November 10th, and have confirmed Netflix, Disney+, Amazon Prime Video, Peacock and YouTube will all be available, along with, in this market, Sky's OTT platforms like Now TV, and in the US with AVOD services like Tubi. Uniquely at the moment, it will also include Apple TV. But arguably, as we said at the outset, one of the best places to take this role is in fact pay TV. We aren't talking about there being one winner, and many aggregators will still play a role on a device that consumers have a preference for, but pay TV has an important position in their homes. In addition to being well placed, it's pay TV who can actually go arguably the deepest in terms of the relationships. As times have shown, there are many components at play here, and it's not just about who can market the service best. Early relationships were about interconnection and CDNs. Mobile telcos were quick with free SVOD offers. Billing and set-top box app launches followed, many very siloed early on with the app hidden away. And then there were deeper integrations with set-top boxes. Longer-term promos came from pay TV and some mobile telcos as well. And then the move from soft to harder bundles. Pay TV now offers extensive options, including accessibility, user experience, marketing, discovery, and the bundling of subs. All factors that apply equally, whether you're talking about SVOD or AVOD services. And it's worth perhaps looking back over time and noting not just what has progressed, but who with. This is, again, by no means an exhaustive list of deals, but pay TV partnerships appeared in 2013 when Netflix was first, and they partnered with Virgin in the UK on their TiVo box, and soon after with Comhem in Scandi with their TiVo box. These two were in fact exceptions at this stage and for a while in their level of integration, with the Virgin TiVo set-top box offering fully searchable content through the UI, bundled offers with its TV packages and free promotions. Because in fact, at this early stage, agreements implemented elsewhere were far more limited. In addition to their limitations, they were significantly not with the pay TV market leaders, but typically with the telco challengers. Up to 2015, kind of the end of 2015, as Netflix rolled out internationally, it was the mobile telcos. They were giving away a lot of value with Netflix offers, largely happy to do so they had a high subscriber acquisition cost, and they were chasing higher value 4G subscribers, moving from 6 to 12 to 24 3-month offers. Even in the first US deal in late 2016, this was very limited, with Comcast's first integration, just the launch of the Netflix app on the X1 platform. This would have however, change in the middle of about April 2018 as they expanded their partnerships with the inclusion of Netflix into certain packages. Between 2016 and 2018, there were more mobile giveaways, zero rating of data, app launches, and fairly basic app set-top box launches. And it was really in 2018 when we started seeing more significant changes. A significant extra layer was added to Comcast, as we said, but Sky and Telefonica launched Netflix with billing and UI integrations, and now Amazon started to appear, who are still complicated by the broader offer that their business has. Now, not only do we have soft bundling, where subscribers pay 2 separate subscriptions, and Netflix effectively pay operators what is a marketing expense, but a growing amount of harder bundling, where subscribers pay for Netflix through their pay TV or telecoms bill, effectively a wholesale deal. From a commercial perspective alone, we've progressed through basic promotions, longer-term promo offers, flexible add-on offers, to more comprehensive bundlings that now, in some rare cases, includes multiple SVODs. Disney has a unique place in the ecosystem and have approached partnerships with flexibility. This has meant at times they've leveraged their current position in pay TV, but across markets, they've established relationships with operators in territories, bundling some while only merely having a retail relationship with others, which is why they're a great, their partnerships are great examples to look at. Although they are an exceptional player in that they own pay TV channel interest that they're transitioning, they are demonstrating the different types of relationships well. Some are much closer to old-fashioned pay TV, some are reseller relationships, and then there are hybrid mixed models. It was interesting hearing Sky's take on their deal with Disney, effectively saying that they have taken a very high fixed cost out of their P&L, changed the channels to an app, and now secure a margin by selling Disney Plus through Sky. This revenue now flows back into their P&L, whilst on the consumer side, there is no change to the experience. Whilst this last statement may not fully reflect the additional costs to the consumers, it does make clear the new paradigm for the relationship between some services and pay TV. All of this is happening while the SVOD market becomes increasingly competitive. Netflix and other global streamers will face significant challenges maintaining growth and retaining customers, as is illustrated here by their subscriber adds over the last few years, in particular with the Q2 2019 number in the US, where they had their first and only negative quarter in the market. But they have key growth markets as well. Asia Pacific certainly being one of them, and the huge market of India, which is a focus not just for Netflix, but others. And they're not shy in admitting the importance of distribution partnerships in these markets. They were drawn on the issue in their recent earnings call, the Q3 earnings call. When asked about the importance of distribution partnerships, they stressed about how these, along with local content, are key areas of investment for them. App Store relationships to them are relatively straightforward, with the broader market for aggregators where they see changes happening, with new players coming in. And they believe it's likely that there will be a change in the dynamics between those relationships, between aggregator and device manufacturers and new streaming services. But in their words, it will be worked out. In their words, I think they said they don't see any significant change in that sort of positive model. They've invested in relationships with device manufacturers and platform owners for many years now. They were, in fact, trailblazers with device manufacturers when they launched. They were the first to integrate with such a diverse set of connected devices. And since 2013, arguably, they've been trailblazers also with platform and telco relationships. By way of example, they referenced their recent Indian partnership with Reliance Jio, India's largest mobile operator. Here, they've launched a bundle with their mobile and fibre broadband plans, including integrating Netflix with 2 of Jio's set-top boxes. This and other initiatives, along with investment in local originals, is key to their growth in the market. They don't talk so freely about the other side of their relationship, customer retention and churn, but it's clear that some relationships, like in India, are about growth, and others, like Sky in the UK, may be more about retention. Take up, visibility, viewing, and ultimately subscriber retention is all important to them. And whilst they're in a position of strength, the more any aggregator can play to these elements, the better any partnership could be for both players. And it is about synergies. And the synergies between pay TV and SVOD are particularly strong. Pay TV are, although it may vary many in different markets, they are under pressure to innovate and improve competitiveness. They've had pricing proposition challenges. They need more VOD and more flexibility. Customers want access to SVOD services. SVOD services themselves, they want incremental subs and improved retention. They want positioning on the main viewing source in the home, the main TV. They want ease of use and lower barriers to entry and reduced marketing costs. But the time-sensitive one in all of these is unique to pay TV, the primacy of their home screen when it comes to viewing. A common theme now with operators in Europe is a desire to become the hub for video viewing, controlling the output on the TV and offering the platform for viewing. This has implications for free TV as well as SVOD, as free TV are growing their adjacent digital services at pace and also need to ensure positioning themselves with modern day electronic program guide fights no doubt to follow. Deutsche Telekom in Germany's, its ambition is clear, to be the hub of all video viewing. The streaming services and partners on the platform are increasing. This includes Netflix, Prime Video, Sky, DAZN, Disney, and Videoload. All services are available on the Magenta TV homepage with a uniform search function. Telefonica were also keen to point out the total integration of the Netflix experience included the user experience and billing and packaging in their 2018 deal. Video remains at the core of Telefonica's offer, with a leading content proposition. They've got their own content production, their originals, all the football rights, 95% of the movies and TV series from all the major studios. 60% pay TV market share, 15 to 20% of the audience share from their own channels in prime time. But they still recognise the need for Disney Plus, Netflix, and others. With Telefonica, however, in pricing terms, they are, albeit not exclusive, they're not the only ones doing this, using their services to drive their fusion tiers, their bigger communication tiers with their fibre bundles, with commercial bundling here to improve their offers and maximise their ARPUs being more of a key focus. With Canal Plus in France, they had a very clear 2019 strategic pivot to establish themselves as the gatekeeper of video. Here, was a clear shift to have and a clear strategic focus on becoming the aggregator for video services in the market, enabling them to gain scale and resist the pricing pressures they were under from SVOD. Breaking with years of hesitation, they made significant deals in 2019, most notably a Netflix deal similar to Sky that included integration into the set-top box and billing, an exclusive agreement to carry Disney Plus in bundles, including single billing, and an exclusive distribution agreement with beIN Sports. With the Disney deal and the beIN deal, that also included exclusive distribution rights, including the ability to resell those offers to other IPTV providers in the French market. With Sky, it wasn't until 2018 that they added Netflix, resisting them arguably for as long as they potentially could. Initially, they integrated Netflix onto the Sky Q box, and Netflix was bundled with Sky box sets in what was called the Ultimate Box Sets add-on. Only 12 months later, Netflix has become even more heavily integrated into the full TV proposition, with Sky Ultimate TV, the primary new TV bundle that they offer now. That includes all the features of Sky plus Netflix. Sky's initial partnership with Netflix is voiced very positively, but Sky, for them, the move was clearly forced upon them. With over 40% of their subs taking Netflix, it would be difficult to maintain any position as the key hub for all video. The enhancement of the relationship is likely a factor of the pricing pressure that Sky faces, with Netflix now included in the entertainment bundle for a very competitive £25. Like Deutsche Telekom, they are pushing hard to be the single destination for video. In their recent results, much was made of this aggregator approach, both in terms of Comcast in the US and Sky in Europe. X1 and Sky Q are both described as platforms for aggregating broadcast, sports and streaming services. Jeremy Darragh emphasised a few things on the earnings call. On the supply side, as we already highlighted, the change to the commercial relationship with someone like Disney. But on the consumer side, for them, consumers want to continue to get all of the content through the Sky UI, and they can deep link into apps and bring customers back efficiently into the Sky interface. With the shift in focus to aggregation, they are keen to highlight the twin elements, a better user experience and more flexible cost structures. It's worth also noting that they recognise with their OTT service in the UK, Now TV, Sky can also target an additional part of the market to get more customers in a different way with aggregation. Something they're not really doing so much in the UK, but they are in the US with Xfinity Flex. Comcast with Xfinity Flex can help drive for them in the US what the number one strategic focus for them is: broadband growth. Whether the aggregation is with full TV, with their Xfinity X1 product here on the right, or a hybrid streaming device offer, Xfinity Flex, they stress that their advantageous position as a broadband provider with a strong starting point in direct consumer relationships puts them in a very strong position. X1 and Sky Q are platforms for aggregating broadcast, sports and premium services. Flex provides that same experience to those customers who prefer just the streaming video options. They feel they have a big advantage as customers contemplate their aggregation and streaming options when they take broadband, and they can offer a fully integrated experience. So just to wrap up for today, the aggregator landscape is increasingly crowded and we'll no doubt see more launches. Aggregators can coexist with different types of viewers, different use cases and significant market variation, but to dominate the main TV set in the home, there are specific needs. Some device users will lean towards who they know and who dominates their lives, but pay TV has a very important position in the home and can also be playing a bigger role with broadband delivery as a bundled proposition. And if you're going to use the term super aggregator, not just aggregator, pay TV is well placed for this role. But that advantage will erode over time and is eroding. The primacy of a pay TV operator's homepage remains its key asset. It's declining in value slowly as people look to other sources and fragment their viewing. But operators need to act fast to adjust their business to take advantage of this opportunity. Everyone has things to consider, with channel groups and broadcasters having kind of the future to prepare for along with SVOD. And with SVOD, their priorities will shift as their growth profile changes and the competitive landscape changes, so as they become more saturated or as more competition enters the market. But what is clear is we are entering a new era for the navigation of video. As we have seen, there are many considerations, some that haven't been fully addressed here, but this, or yet anyway, but this shouldn't hinder development, and roadmaps can be put in place to take the complications that come to take care of the complications that come with any type of integration. There is plenty of ground to cover when it comes to the future look of deals, but logic is largely being followed today, and to follow Netflix's opinion on this is a positive model that will be worked out. Thank you for listening and watching. Please reach out if we can help in any way. We continue to support stakeholders with our independent analysis, whether that be focused and relevant service benchmarking or trend tracking or market analysis, and even all the way through to implementation support. We're happy to help and happy to talk. But thanks again for listening.